here are the tools you're gonna need. All you're gonna need is a Phillips screwdriver, a 6mm Allen key to remove the exhaust. In different cases, depending on the exhaust that you have, it might be a difference, but on my case, it's a 6mm Allen. You also wanna have a 10mm wrench, another 10mm wrench, a bigger one if you wish. If you have the stock pipe, it's a 17. Then all you're gonna need is also a coolant, 50 by 50 antifreeze coolant. You can use any of the recommended from the manufacturer too, but in my case here in Florida, this is what we have here. So you also want to grab yourself at the local store a couple of bottles of distilled water, because we're going to be flushing since they have like many years without being flushed. Also, you're going to need a new oil ring. Don't forget to buy one of these new ones when you do your coolant flush. It is always recommended to do it every 2 years, so you always want to have one of these in hand. After you remove the pipe, also you want to get ready like a tray or something to hold the water here when you drain the pump. So you just want to have something to, you know, hold it. Also, you want to twist this over, and you want to screw these fasteners right here. So once you have removed the pad on the top and you have everything, removed the exhaust, you got your tray here ready for, you know, receiving the old coolant. You want to get some bags and, you know, cover your body work the best you can. And you want to grab your Phillips screwdriver and proceed to unscrew the one here in the top. It might be pretty hard, so you want to grab your right side Phillips screwdriver, and when you put it on, you want to apply some force into it and then break the seal like that. See? Once you start screwing, you want to have this in hand, because once you release the last one, it's going to start dripping. So you want to be ready. Okay. There you go. Proceed the cap here in the top. You see how actually it's gonna start dripping even more. Sometimes this might be like really tight. In my case, not that much. That's where you want to be more careful. Just release all the pressure. Actually, it doesn't look that bad though. Open up your helmet compartment. You come here into the engine, and you're gonna look for this big hose right here, and you want to find that little cap right there, this one right there. So you want to remove that one, which is the bleeding. Make sure you don't lose this rubber piece, because this is very important. So we're gonna set it here in the side, and then with an 8mm wrench, you want to come here and you want to open up this bleeding screw, and you're gonna see how it actually is gonna start draining more and more coolant from here in the bottom. Once you remove it, you want to be careful, because there's that little O-ring. You don't want to lose that. You want to check also the condition of it, and if it's pretty bad, you want to replace that. You want to put this in a side, because you want to give it a nice clean, because it's all, you know, corroded. You don't want to lose that. Okay, so once you have flushed all the old coolant, the next thing you want to do is you want to put the cap on back. You want to leave the old O-ring. We're going to proceed and install this cap again. Usually, if you do this at the right time, you don't necessarily have to do this. But since I don't know when was the last time they did a flush on this, I want to like really do like a really deep flush on this thing. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put the back on everything. I'm going to put on the distilled water. And then you just want to actually run the pipe with the distilled water, so you flush the whole old coolant. Then you want to come here to the top with your 8mm wrench and with your bleeding screw. Then you just want to set that back in there. Go too tight on this. You just want to like do the whole thing, knock it in there, and then just leave it in a little bit open. Then you want to have in hand a hose, preferably be transparent so you can see through, and you want to plug that hose in there. And if you want, you can route that the hose to the bottom of the bike. Then you want to grab your distilled water. You want to come here and install the pipe. Slightly there. And we're gonna proceed and actually run the bike for 5 minutes. You're gonna leave this open and you wanna keep an eye on the little hose here in the bottom. You wanna put this here, so that's gonna start dripping. And you wanna keep an eye here so you see when it goes down, start refilling it from the bike. I got my hose here connected. A little bit of steam from the coolant. We're gonna start getting coolant out of the hose. You see how it comes with bubbles and air? You wanna let the bike run till you see it's not coming with bubbles or air. Shut the bike, let all the coolant come down, and you wanna close the bleeding screw. And then you wanna let the bike cool down a little bit so we can just remove the pipe again and flush the whole thing again. So let's just wait a couple of minutes and we'll be back in a bite. So I'm gonna proceed and remove the pipe. Get the little bleeding screw. You want to screw that back out, and then what you want to do is you want to grab your distilled water. And you want to repeat the same process again. Done the same process again. We're not sure that the whole system is completely clean, so we're gonna proceed to do the final flush. I already removed the pipe, and I still have a bottle to do the final flush. You ready with your thing here? You know how it's floated. Here is the last one. Boom. See how it's coming completely clean now. Be careful, obviously, because if you let the bike run too much, you can burn your hand. Right now it's warm enough where it's not burning because it's hot. And you want to proceed and remove the one in the top, the bleeding screw. And then you want to do the final flush with the rest of the coolant you have left. See, we got the old O-ring here already in hand. Nice. So once you're done with the flushings, I did 2 cycles. I flush out the whole thing, remove the pipe, install everything again, remove the bleeding screw, remove the cap, put everything back on, fill it up, run the bike a little bit for 5 minutes, let the bleeding screw remove all the air bubbles and everything, and then just flush it again and do everything back again so we're sure everything is nice and clean. Before you proceed to install a new O-ring, you want to make sure you clean out the surface of all where the O-ring sits. You want to remove all the old taking it from the rubber of the old one. Then, once you have cleaned up the surface pretty well, you want to have some grease, because when you're installing, they don't make these shaped O-rings anymore. As you can see, the shape of it. Now they're like just like regular O-rings. So for you to hold the O-ring in place without moving, so you don't have any leaks, you want to apply a little bit of grease so to hold the thing in place. So it makes the job a lot more easier. So you want to grab your O-ring and you want to apply just a tiny bit of grease, you know, all over the O-ring. Just a tiny bit. It's just, it becomes, you know, sticky. And then you just want to set it into that gap. Like on that part, see how it doesn't want to hold in place. See, on that part, you want to add a little bit of grease there in that corner and in that corner. A little bit there. So when you slide, it holds in place with the grease. Make sure it's really into that gap. If you feel it's not going, you can grab a little bit of grease, you know, force it into it. Make sure it's nice and sealed. Clean it up. A little bit here in the surface, so it's not greasy. See? Make sure it's nice. You want to have your tree screwed with it. And right before you proceed to put it on, take a last look. So you want to go like really careful with it. And you want to proceed and install the pipe, because I'm gonna be removing it again anyways, but I need to install it so we can put the new coolant on, so we can do the right flushing with the bleeding screw. You don't want to over tie that, just snug it there. It's not necessary to go crazy with it. So once we have that plug in, we got to install our new O-ring in, we got the pipe on, now we got ready to add our new coolant. Run the bike. Keep your eye into the canister so you refill it with a couple of reps. Until you see on the bottom there is no more bubbles coming out of it. And when you see there is no more bubbles coming out of the hose, you want to close it. You can close all the compartment already. And then you want to keep an eye here, let the bike run a little bit more. So once you're done with the coolant flush, you run the bike, you let the bleeding screw get all those air bubbles out of it. You actually want to run the bike until you see that fluid from the little hose from the bleeding screw come without any bubbles from any air. And as soon as you see that coming out of it with nothing, you can the top of the coolant, and once you refill that, you are pretty much ready to go. Actually, you can just like ride the bike for, you know, a couple miles, come back and make sure it's, you know, full, the coolant is not missing any, so you pull out the whole system back again. Okay, let's now run the scooter, see how everything works. Run for like 10 minutes. Keep an eye on the coolant. You want to open it up a little bit right now. We're going to do that. Keep an eye because it starts circulating, so you want to refill what it just get into the system. car, and then we're gonna take it for a ride. So after you shut down the bike and let it sit for a minute, we're gonna take a look at the level of the coolant. It needs to be right in the top, right where it needs to be. You can see the level there. So with the coolant, we're good to go.